buying a book secondhand means you don't actually spend any money. And that is book math. Okay, we are going thrifting today for books. I used to find some really great deals when I did this. However, I don't have the best thrift stores in my area, and every time I've ever gone in them, I've never really seen a great selection of books, but I have not gone in purposefully looking. I'm hoping that today will just be a fantastic day, and the thrift shop that I go to will have plenty of books, and I'll come back with the stack to show you guys. What I'm looking for, I don't really know. I think I'm looking for, well, if I can find a set of the Harry Potter books, I'm going to get that. At least even just a couple of them, because I want a set that I don't care about, regardless of the edition, that I can write in and highlight. That's one. Number two, maybe some holiday books, because I do like reading holiday books, but I don't necessarily love buying them full price because you can really only read them a certain time of the year. Maybe some mystery and thrillers, and if I can find any like classic books, perhaps. As always, I'm looking for picture books as well, but we'll see. Sometimes the thrift shop picture books can be a little bit worn just because they're well loved, which makes sense. We'll see if I can find it. There are so many cars here, I almost couldn't find a spot to park. So that's either a really good sign or a really bad sign because everything will be gone. But hopefully no one else is looking for books. We're going to try thrifting for some more books again today. First thrifting experience was okay. There were definitely a lot of books there, but not books that I wanted. So we're going to try one more Goodwill, and then we're going to go to half price books if Goodwill fails, because technically it's still secondhand. Well, that was a friggin' letdown. That Goodwill honestly only had a shelf, maybe a shelf and a half of books. That's it. And it was literally just all old cookbooks and school books. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. I don't know if it's because in this area we have half price books. So maybe when you're in a city or state where there's a plethora of half-price books, people don't usually donate them as much because they'll try and sell them. And realistically, every time I've ever sold something to half-price books, I get maybe $1. So it's pretty much the same. But that's wild because that's 2 thrift stores I've gone to. I've never actually gone thrifting down here. I've usually only ever gone in other states. And so maybe that's just not really a thing. Maybe thrift stores in my area just aren't holding books anymore. Or maybe it's just in general because now there's so many online places people can buy and donate books. Maybe people are just using stores like half price books more. I have no idea, but I'm going to go to half price books now and just see if there's anything I can find. I am going to limit myself though to only secondhand books. I know half price books does have some books that are not secondhand. They do have some newer copies there and sometimes they're just a little bit cheaper, but I'm not allowing myself to get any of those because that will defeat the purpose. You guys remember when I said, it's fine, we don't need a list, we can just go in and do whatever. Please don't let me do that again. Okay, so we're back home from the thrift shops with a mini haul, and overall, I think that was kind of a fail. Maybe it's my area, I have no idea, but I feel like I struck out, and I really just feel like there wasn't a great selection. I'll definitely be doing this again in the future though, see what I can come up with. First and foremost, let's just go over the books that I got. So in the first thrift shop, I got The Tale of Jemima Puddleduck. This is just a Beatrix Potter book. I do have a collection of them for my child, but I want to have individual ones that they can like pick up as well. So I was happy to find this. And then I also got Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. So I've actually never read this. There's actually some underlining in it, which is a bummer. And I saw it and I was like, you know what? It's almost Christmas time. What a great time to just read a classic. I've obviously seen it and heard the story and seen the play. I know what it's about, but I think it'd be fun to read. My confusion with this though is I have seen other copies and they're so much larger. I mean, this is 70 pages. Do they just have really, really big font and mine does not? I have no idea. So we shall see. Both of these books together, I got them at the first thrift shop I went to, which is just a local shop. They were $1.29 for both of them. So that was a great deal. Very happy with that. And I obviously went to Goodwill. You guys saw me strike out there. Didn't even film in there because it really just wasn't even worth it. When I say there was a shelf, like that's being generous, that there was a shelf of books, and most of them were old school textbooks, like literal textbooks. So then I went to Half Price Books, which I get it, Half Price Books is secondhand, but to me that's not really a thrift shop. But I justified it by just going for the secondhand books only and not allowing myself to buy any of their newer books. I also feel like it's much easier for me to buy kids' books just in general than it is to buy books that I'm going to read, because I know that kids will read the books more than one time. I probably will only read it once, maybe twice, if it's a really, really great book. So I think that's where I struggle too. I noticed that in Half Price Books. I was picking up books and I was like, oh, maybe I'll want to read that. But then I just thought, well, if I'm going to spend $6 on it, I'd rather spend $6 on something else. So we'll see. So I was trying to find older books there. I will take these stickers off. Everyone relax. I'm just doing it so I have the price. This is Aesop's Fables for Children. This is, I guess, a special Barnes & Noble edition, but the pictures I thought were really, really cute. And so I spent about $8 on that. I wish it would tell me the original price. Let's see if it does. No. Honestly, it looks like it was never even opened. It looks brand new. So I was very excited to find this. The issue is, they say I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but they say the cuss word version of donkey, which obviously that's what a donkey is, but I don't really know if I want to read that to my kid. So I think maybe we'll substitute it, but I was I was flipping through it, of course, after I bought it, and I came home and my husband just started laughing at me. He's like, didn't you open it? I guess I didn't open it. I have no idea. So whatever. Aesop's Fables it is. Then I got A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson. This has actually been on my list for a while. It's just a book of poetry. And I thought the pictures were really, really pretty as well. And so finding it for $10, I figured that was a pretty good deal. And it's honestly in really great condition. Like even the book jacket, it looks like it's barely used. And personally, I hate book jackets. And so I like this part better, but I'll leave the book jacket on to protect it. And the last kind of kids book that I got was Andersen's Fairy Tales. This is not as old as it looks, but the original price was $1.49. Isn't that crazy? And it can't be that old. When was this version published? It doesn't say. Again, this book jacket is all torn up, but I really don't care because the actual part of it is great. And it's so pretty. I love it. And I love the spine too. Thought it was so cool. I wanted a version of Andersen's Fairy Tales because after reading The Enchanted Hour, I want to be the read aloud family that reads after dinner. Megan Cox Gordon talked about that in her book, about how there was this one family and she suggested they read every day after dinner, and that's exactly what they did. And I just love that idea of like having a nice dinner, cleaning up dinner, and then just retiring to the living room and just reading a book out loud, and everyone just kind of hangs out and does whatever while someone reads aloud. I think that's just so beautiful. I read to my kid every day, multiple times a day, and I read all the time, but I just love the idea of everyone coming together and listening to a read aloud. And so when I'm thinking about books that I want to do that with, something like fairy tales comes to mind. So I think that will be a lot of fun. And I paid $6 for this, which this one I feel like $6 is a really good deal because it's old as mold. And then this is when I realized that I'm actually the problem, because here's my thing. A lot of times at secondhand shops, what you find is those short, oops, my book just fell down, is those like really tiny books. I don't even have an example to show you. They're like this big, those books, you know, like the really tiny chunky books. And I hate that. Something about it, I just can't do it. Like I need the book to be a little bit bigger. And so I noticed in Half Price Books, there was this entire, like there were many, many rows and shelves of smaller books that I probably would have liked the story of, but I literally just can't read them. And those books are like $1 or $2. That's more of a deal than kind of what I have here and what I'm about to show you. The last book I picked up was a book for me, was a copy of Wuthering Heights. This is definitely a high school copy because there were 20, like literally there were 20 of them there. And the thing also that I'm realizing about thrifting for books is, for example, I was looking for Wuthering Heights. There were probably no less than 30 copies. There was only one of these. So when I'm looking at books, I will say, yeah, I'm gonna get the Andersen's Fairy Tales because the odds of me finding it again if I come back are pretty slim. The odds of me finding another Wuthering Heights if I go to any secondhand bookshop is like 99 out of 100. It's going to be there. My neighbor just walked outside and we just make direct eye contact through my window. That might be the most embarrassing moment of my life. I mean, guys, direct eye contact. We looked right at each other. We must continue. We must continue. it's like awkward. Like, do I just wait until they go back inside, or do I just keep filming and pretend like nothing weird has happened? So anywho, picked up a copy of Wuthering Heights because I want to start reading more classic books, and Wuthering Heights is one of them. The other part of it is I know that I could get this book for free at the library, so I don't know if I want to own a copy, and if I wanted to own a copy, it'd probably be a much older copy, not necessarily the $3, you know, someone read this for their high school English class version. But whatever. Either way, I picked it up. You'll see it in a video soon, and I'm very excited about it. Overall though, that was the haul. I would say that buying books secondhand is still one of my favorite things to do, but I think maybe we're just past the point in my area of finding great deals at thrift shops. Maybe I need to expand my radius. Like maybe this is something where I can't just take a couple hours here or there, but I need to have a whole day to do this and go out farther than what I usually do, because maybe just in like my 20-mile radius, there's just not good options because we have things like half-price books. And there's nothing wrong with half-price books. I love half-price books, but I think you don't get as good of a deal as if you just find it in a thrift shop. And there's something about just finding a book in a thrift store that's just hidden under all of these things. And you're like, yes, I did it. I found it. Versus half-price books and they're all neatly arranged for you on a shelf in alphabetical order. There's no hunt there. So we shall see. But if you like this video and you enjoy book shopping with me, go ahead and check out my video where I book shop in London, and then also check out some of my library hauls, which I'll link around for you. So that way, if you want to come along while I do some more book shopping, you can go ahead and follow along and see what books I got there too. Let me know in the comments below, how is the thrifting for books in your area? Have you been able to find anything? I would love to know any of your tips.